to the graphic nature of this program, listener discretion is advised.
Well, hello and welcome to a new Stranger Vlog. I'm literally recording this less than 10 minutes after I just got out of the second viewing of Star Wars The Force Awakens. And I'm recording this on Christmas night in my car. I'm still in the parking lot of the movie theater. I wanted to record this because I wanted to revise things that I've said in the past for those who follow the podcast or follow my Facebook page. Now, just a warning, spoilers. I'm going to get deep into spoilers. So if you are going to watch this video, do not complain that I'm going to ruin the movie. Now, once again, I'm recording this on Christmas Day. So if the movie's been out for over a week now, you've had your chance to see it. Okay, so let me just start by saying that when I first saw the movie, I saw it the night it came out, I was pissed off. I thought it sucked. I said, J.J. Abrams ruined the franchise. And when I say ruined, I don't want to say that like he did anything really wrong, but my biggest complaint at that time was all this was a rehash of Star Wars Episode 4, A New Hope. Now, that being said, I have two major complaints about this movie. And I would have to say that one, yes, it is a rehash of Episode 4. It is a movie that will, it's supposed to bring in new fans. Like, kids are supposed to see this movie and fall in love with the trilogy the way I saw Return of the Jedi and fell in love with Star Wars. And with that, they took some of the best elements of Episode 4 and brought it into Episode 7. Now, of course, the movie's not out on DVD yet, but I'm pretty sure it's going to be very easy for them to do a side-by-side. Just wait on YouTube when the DVD comes out or the Blu-ray comes out. There are going to be side-by-side comparisons, scenes, shots, everything on how Episode 7 repeated Episode 4. Except when, instead of, being Yoda, now it's Maz Kanata. Instead of being Han Solo, it's, what the hell's his name? Poe Dameron. Instead of R2-D2, it's BB-8. And one thing I do definitely have to say is that kudos to the cast. Michael Boyega, Daisy Ridley, Oscar Isaacs, they're fantastic. They're ultimate. And of course, and even Driver, the kid that played Kylo Ren. Now, like I said, when I saw the movie the first time, and I brought notes with me just for the Stranger Vlog. When I first saw the movie, in true J.J. Abrams style, I felt that we were left with more questions than answers. If you ever watched Lost or you ever watched, a show like Fringe or something like that, shows that were stuff that's like bigger, more like influenced by J.J. Abrams, you would watch a show and it'd be like, they answer three questions but leave us with, they answer three questions. They give us three answers with six questions. So, all right, you know what? Fuck the notes. Here's the deal. And here's the stuff that they don't tell you, but you seem to catch in the second time around. And of course, stuff like this has been speculated online, and I've listened to plenty of podcasts about it. But, okay. Spoiler. Rey is Luke Skywalker's daughter. They don't say it automatically. They don't say it, and they don't like super duper hint to it. But after watching it the second time, when Rey is sitting on Jakku, the desert planet, and she's sitting there with, a rebellion helmet on, obviously it's either Luke Skywalker's or someone that flew with Luke in the Rogue Squadron. when she's now, one thing I've noticed, no one has seen to mention this, that amongst Rey's like belongings, there is a doll, a little rag doll that looks like a Resistance fighter. So I don't know if maybe she's feeling some sort of connection to her dad, and she makes that doll, like just sort of like something you make without really thinking about it. And of course, the movie does let us know that Kylo Ren, his real name is Ben, and I'm assuming it's Ben Solo. Being Han Solo's son, named obviously after Ben Kenobi back when Obi-Wan Kenobi was hiding on Tatooine. I noticed that they call Leia Organa, which is actually the name of her adopted father. Princess Leia would technically be Leia Skywalker. And if she took on the name of her adopted, Bail Organa, it would be, Leia Skywalker Organa. And then she got married. I'm assuming they got married. I mean, they had a kid together. So it would be Leia Skywalker Organa Solo. But they call her General Organa. And of course, she reprises a role of sort of like leading the Resistance. Except in this movie, it's a little different because there's a republic. And there's a new republic. And for some reason, they allow the Resistance to be resistant to the First Order. Now, the First Order, that's one of my small problems with the movie, is they don't let us know exactly what the First Order comes from. Obviously, the Empire from the original trilogy, 4, 5, and 6, the Empire is a political issue. It's a political, they get money, I'm pretty sure they could oppress planets and stuff like that. And they get their funding, and their drive is to be, part of the Empire, to push their will amongst the universe. In this one, they give us no motivation other than the First Order is the First Order. It's the, to use a phrase from the extended universe, they're the remnants of the Empire, and they, it's basically Grand Commander or Supreme Commander Snoke's, it's him using them as a tool, the same way like Supreme Leader Snoke. I just feel weird saying Supreme Leader Snoke, but he's using Kylo Ren for his powers, the same way the Emperor used Darth Vader for his powers. And at first, they kind of give you a little bit of a misdirection when they see the hologram of Snoke, and he's this big fucking 40-foot dude. But then again, when you watch the original trilogy, when Darth Vader talks to the Emperor's head is fucking 50 feet high. So that's one of those deals where it repeats itself. George Lucas had said that these movies are like poetry, and each of the movies is like a stanza, and they're supposed to repeat themselves. And J.J. Abrams kept up that sort of analogy by showing, the bad guy, the real bad guy, the one behind the scenes, when he projects himself upon his, through a hologram to his student, it's obviously way blown out of proportion. So I'm assuming, I guess Siths must have, size issues or whatever, the little man complex, Napoleon complex. So, what other spoilers are there? I mean, Kylo Ren kills Han Solo. And, once again, watching the movie a second time, you hear the phrase where he says, I'm making a tough decision and I need you to help me. And you think it's for Han Solo to help redeem his son. And then you realize, no, he needs to get pushed to the dark side. And by killing his father, he sort of seals his fate to going over to the dark side. Because in the beginning, yes, he's a bit of an emo bitch, and he's sort of like, you could tell like he's living in his grandfather's shadow, and he wants to follow the legacy and can finish what he started, and it becomes very like, he wears a helmet like Darth Vader. He uses the voice modulator when he doesn't need to. Darth Vader had a voice modulator because he couldn't fucking speak, or he could barely speak because his throat was destroyed on the volcano planet. And Kylo Ren just does it because that's what his grandpa did. That was cool. He feels it's cool, and he's going to feel like he was going to continue his grandfather's legacy. Okay, so my two major issues. Once again, kudos to the cast. It was good watching it again. Harrison Ford, such a great actor, and really seeing, when you really watch the movie again and you realize, wow, he has been out of it, and his love with Leia. Carrie Fisher was good. I don't want to say great. She wasn't great. Once again, she's kind of been out of the loop every movie she's done in the past 15, 20 years has sort of been, some sort of callback to Star Wars. She's done some Kevin Smith movies and stuff like that. And she's done Fanboys or something like that. So, Carrie Fisher was okay. Her face is Botox to hell. Jesus Christ. So, not handsome like me. But that being said, you felt their love. It did bring them back. Chewbacca got a lot of fucking action in this movie. Chewbacca moved, and it's sort of making me wonder, because Peter Mayhew, the actor that plays Chewbacca, could barely fucking stand. So, obviously a lot of fill-ins, a lot of, they must have had somebody in the Chewbacca suit, running around, because you see Chewbacca running and doing a lot of stuff that requires motion. And Peter Mayhew, when he goes to cons and stuff like that, gets pushed around in a wheelchair, and don't get me wrong, I love Peter Mayhew. I'm just saying is that, they obviously got someone, and, at least they matched it right. It doesn't look like somebody else is in the costume. It does look like, Chewbacca moves like the way Chewbacca did move, except now we see him moving more. I like the Maz Kanata character, very much like Yoda. She's not a Jedi, but she's what they call in the extended universe, Force sensitive. Once again, an old character, sort of a mentor, for the lack of a better term. She's the new Yoda. Now, of course, of all the characters that got repeated, someone would say, who's the new Obi-Wan Kenobi? And that's one thing that kind of gets brushed apart in the very first few minutes of the movie. Max von Sydow, fucking fantastic actor, has been around for generations, and he's in the movie for 4 minutes and gets slaughtered, gets killed by Kylo Ren. And Kylo Ren is badass because he could stop fucking laser beams with the Force. But you realize that and this is once again my speculation. Max von Sydow, I think, he's the Obi-Wan character. I think he was watching Rey, and we'll get to that in a second. I think, because when we start the movie, he's on Jakku. I think, here's my theory. Like I said, Rey is Luke Skywalker's daughter. We see the fall of Kylo Ren. We see the fall of Ben Kenobi, where he turns to the dark side because he was seduced to the dark side by Snoke. I think Luke saw the fall of Kylo Ren, and then that's the whole thing, is that they never really mention when Kylo Ren was born that Han and Leia that Luke had a kid, had a daughter, because now they have to introduce the character, whoever Rey's mother is, who did Luke Skywalker have a kid with, so that needs to be introduced. But I think, or maybe he had a kid after his exile. Kylo Ren slaughters all the brand new Jedi. When the movie was called Return of the Jedi. Luke starts a new Jedi Order, starts training people, and Kylo Ren, one of his students, gets seduced, joins these Knights of Ren, which I guess we'll be addressing in the next movie. And once again, this is the same way they did with the Marvel movies. Now that Disney owns them, it's almost like a commercial for the next movie. Now, I was able to enjoy the movie the second time because it filled in a bit more of the gaps, but really, all this did is make you want to come back and see Episode 8. The same way Avengers 2 really just was sort of gets you in the mood to go see Captain America 3. So, I think that Luke, worried that his daughter will fall to the dark side the way Ben Solo, a.k.a. Kylo Ren, And Kylo, Kylo, Skywalker, SKY, Lo, Solo. Kylo is a combination of Skywalker and Solo, and Ren is sort of like when you're a Knight of Ren, that's a title, the way Darth is a title. So I think Luke was probably worried, probably during his exile. I think he had his daughter, or maybe he had his daughter, but long story short, he hides her out on Jakku. He hides her out on a desert planet. Well, Luke himself was hidden on a desert planet and was protected or watched over from a distance by Obi-Wan Kenobi. So Max von Sydow's character, I think, was the Obi-Wan Kenobi-like character, watching over Rey from a distance, keeping an eye on her and stuff like that. She didn't really know him for who he was. But then again, that would mean, I would assume that means Max von Sydow's character was a Jedi, or obviously someone sympathetic to Luke's cause and promised to watch his daughter. Once again, this is not addressed in the movie. This is all my speculation. Okay, 2 more things and I'll leave you guys alone. Okay, 1, Captain Phasma. Okay, these movies, kind of like Darth Maul, where, they have these great fucking characters that they show us, and then when the time comes to hit the screen, they fall apart. I have a Captain Phasma fucking poster on my wall in my room. They kind of hold her at gunpoint, and she lowers the shield so then they could attack Starkiller Base. She gives up so easily. She's a fucking captain. She rose to the ranks in this new order, which, obviously they're badass because they build a fucking Death Star 17 times the size of the Death Star to destroy planets. You would think the captain of that army would be fucking badass, and she just lowers the shields because they hold a gun to her. They should have, in my opinion, put in a scene there where she whips their ass. But maybe through Han Solo's cunning, or even maybe Finn showing us a little bit of what he got, they could have, where she would have taken down the shields, but just reluctantly because they beat her ass, or they got her to, they not beat her physically, maybe some sort of like a twist or something. They would have somehow got her. I feel they should have put that in the movie. So Captain Phasma, big fucking letdown. You know what I'm saying? The actress that plays her, I love her. And she looks so badass. And I hope, when the next movie they give her something fucking cool to do, or she redeems herself or something, because she just gave up way too fucking easily for a captain. That's bullshit. And also, obviously, this supreme leader Snoke is Plagueis. Now, the movies made a very, very nothing from the prequel trilogy was brought up in these movies. They were like, oh, what about midichlorians? What about the Senate and all this shit? Yes, there was a Senate, but that was sort of the New Republic. I think they went out of their way not to do any reference to the prequel trilogy, And so in the movie, just for this one, but, everyone knows, because, this Grand Chancellor Commander Snoke, where the fuck did he come from? Maybe he was lying in wait. And once again, you look at and of course, Andy Serkis did the motion capture. The fucking character looks like Gollum. It looks like Gollum if you hit him in the head with a fucking bat a couple of times, because he has a big chunk of his face missing. He has a big scar on his head. So obviously Plagueis, Grand Chancellor, Grand Supreme Leader Snoke, whatever the fuck his name is, he's obviously someone who's been through a lot of shit. And in the story of Plagueis, Palpatine kills him. But once again, when they're explaining Plagueis in the prequel trilogy, he is a bad guy who learns how to cheat death and to bring people back to life. So maybe, just maybe, Palpatine thought he killed Plagueis, didn't kill Plagueis, and then Plagueis returned from the dead, maybe faked his death or something like that, or was so fucking powerful that in fucking Voldemort fashion moved his soul onto another body or something like that. But I mean, the body that he has now is all fucking jacked up. So, that Supreme Leader Snoke has to be Plagueis. If it's not Plagueis, then, and of course they're going to have to re-explain, because obviously people who probably didn't like the prequel trilogy or don't know what's going on, they're going to have to kind of reintroduce that concept for the people that are kind of more casual fans. Obviously, if you're watching a video and if you watch this long, you're a lot more hardcore than most people. And one little note, I was driving and I totally forgot this one point that I wanted to make. There is one small problem with J.J. Abrams making this movie so close to Episode 4. Now, one thing you got to say about the Star Wars movies is that they are very iconic. They have scenes that instantly will trigger nostalgia and will bring you back to your childhood or the first time you saw these movies. And of course, mirroring those in the new movies is an okay idea, but it doesn't give a chance for the new movie to have its own identity. It's a good movie. And I sound like a person that's like converted to a new religion. I hated the movie the first time and I love it now. Give the movie its own things for us to remember. You know, if a 6-year-old is going to go see this movie, if I take my 5-year-old daughter to go see this movie, give her a scene that she will remember of her own, something original and not something recycled from Episode 4. So I just wanted to throw in that little tidbit before I sign out. So once again, just to reiterate what I had to say, I hated it the first time. I bashed that movie so fucking hard. I said, J.J. Abrams destroyed my fucking adulthood. And watching it a second time, I said, you know what? Let me not be too hasty. You know, people keep talking about how great it is. I went and I watched it a second time, knowing what I knew then, knowing what I know now, and it's a much better movie. It really, really is. And that's about it. I want to thank you guys for sitting with me for 20 minutes in my car as I fog up my windows. It's fucking cold out here. And because I didn't want to do this driving because I had a lot to talk about and I don't want to fucking crash the car into the fucking side of a building. So thank you for watching the Stranger Vlog. Don't be a stranger.